Osama ji is on the call.
Good morning,
Good
Mr.
morning,
Osama.
Osama.
Good morning, everybody. How are you?
Good, Osama. How are you this morning?
I'm fine. I'm fine. Thanks a lot. Thanks, guys, for having us.
We'll get to hear from the brains, so we are all excited more than anybody.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
I think your lighting seems to be slightly off, or maybe we.
Raj, can you hear Mohan?
Yeah, we can hear you fine. Are you using Chrome or are you using Firefox or some other?
I'm using Chrome.
Chrome, yeah, Chrome. Yeah, I switched to Chrome for Google Meet.
Yeah.
There's a visual effect there that lightens the background, I think so. So you may want to do that, Osama, if that helps.
Apply visual effect and what it is.
See a little, yeah, that's a little better, I think so.
Okay, so
I think you have a light behind you. That's the problem. This is a little bit better. Yeah, this is a little bit better.
Yeah.
That's okay. You guys don't have to see me. Just
We all want to see each other.
I don't know what to do now.
So Osama ji, we're going to play one video that's on our website where you for 2 minutes. I'm sure you like to to share that with the audience.
Okay. So you want to start now, or are we waiting for something?
Yeah, we'll be starting in another few minutes. Just 1 or 2 minutes.
Another what?
Yes.
Sorry?
2 minutes. They wanted to give 5 minutes to people to join.
Perfect. Okay. Let me see if I can fix this lighting thing. Let's see.
In Chicago, the sun is just starting to brighten up.
We can start recording.
I stopped the banners.
Yeah.
So we look can be there.
Yes, we can. Yeah, we can play we can start playing the video.
Incorta is a data platform that allows companies to be able to realize the potential of their data. As a business user, accessing that information has been always a challenge. So we designed the engine to be able to accept all these data from multiple data sources with very, very complex queries that would take 10 hours on other systems into taking 1 second with Incorta. So, for example, one of the largest coffee retailer around the world, they sell coffee, but they also sell fresh food. In many cases, they have to throw away that food in the afternoon. They can only know the sales activities of these stores 24 hours after the fact. With Incorta, they are able to monitor that within 10 minutes of what is going on with any store. So by 1 p.m., they can actually send promotions to people with these applications on their phones to drive them to the store. And then by 4 p.m., they're able to drive donation trucks to these stores. All of that is automated 100%. And that allowed them to save 40% of food waste within 25 days. So this way they are able to utilize the data without having to have heavy dependency on IT for every question they want. So it gives more room for IT to focus on their business, and it gives more flexibility for business to be able to do things on their own. And here we are talking about a project that they expect will take 2 years, and you do it for them in 2 months. The largest companies in the world, these are the companies that really benefit from Incorta, and we did not lose a single POC. That's unheard of. We have 100% win rate because when people do our test drive for our platform, they realize that business is able to do things that they couldn't do before.
Thanks, Raj. That
Thank
was
you.
a very good movie.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you, Raj. And good evening, friends. And good morning to the speakers from US joining us. On behalf of the Computer Society of India, Chennai chapter, ACM Chennai chapter, and IEEE Computer Society Madras chapter, I have great privilege in inviting you for this evening program on the topic of direct relevance today, the radical transformation in data analytics. As you all know, the traditional data warehouses that have been designed and built during the last 25 plus years are fundamentally incapable of addressing the current day data volumes and business needs. The big data has become prevalent, and some of the techniques what we have been using have become quite difficult to adopt and also to get the required results in a dynamically changing the world. But many organizations worldwide are still investing millions of dollars in the traditional data warehouse solutions because there is no alternative for them. But today's need for harnessing the power of data from disparate data sources at the click of a mouse makes the difference in competitive advantage in the marketplace, customer services, healthcare, education, online services, and many more. ICA Enterprises brings to you the Incorta's unified data analytics platform with direct data mapping technology, empowering end user with minimum involvement of IT department. So the self-service is becoming very important aspects in the current day's context. Incorta enables a dramatic transformation of the typical data warehouse design pattern by significantly reducing and eliminating the need to build intermediate analytics structures such as cubes, data marts, or star schemes, etc. Incorta enables direct consumption of disparate sources of data containing high number of joins directly in analytics layer. This session will be presented by Mr. Osama Elkady, the co-founder and chief technology officer of Incorta, and Mr. Raj Lalchandani, former Incorta client at Stanford University. They will explain the radical transformation in the data analytics area with a use case and demonstrate the Incorta platform also. So in this context, I would like to make a mention that Ms. Poonam Krishna has been the person who has interacted with us in terms of organizing this program. She was responsible for facilitating this event to take place. So I welcome Ms. Poonam Krishna also to this evening program. And she will be addressing us about the ICA enterprise, what she has formed, maybe subsequently. So it is my pleasure now to introduce the speaker as well as the facilitator, Ms. Poonam. Coming to Mr. Osama, is the co-founder, board member, and CTO of Incorta. Osama is the brain behind the company and was responsible for taking Incorta from concept to the product stage. He is a believer of motivating talented engineers to effectively build innovative products. Osama's passion for technology, innovation, and leadership is helping many industries in utilizing the industry's first direct data mapping architecture, delivering unprecedented performance, and making the data warehouse obsolete. By keeping data in its original form, Incorta accelerates the time required to roll out new analytic applications from months to days and reduces the query and reporting time from minutes to seconds. Prior to co-founding Incorta, Mr. Osama was the Vice President of Oracle Applications Development. For 2 decades, he was involved in the development and helping to bring out the Oracle's enterprise applications product and business intelligence tools. He holds multiple patents related to data management and has invented new approaches to mobile tech strategy and information discovery. Mr. Osama holds Bachelor of Science degree in Computer Engineering from Ain Shams University and did research in system simulation at University of Maryland. It is interesting to understand that Osama has lived in India at Bangalore and Hyderabad. He loves biryani and speaks Hindi too. Welcome, Mr. Osama. Now I would like
बहुत
to...
शुक्रिया आपसे मिलकर बहुत बहुत खुश हुई.
Very nice, very nice. Bhagut hai. Though we are from India, some of us, from South, we are not that familiar with Hindi. There's a language problems always there, within the country. Now coming to Mr. Lalchandani, he's a retiree from Stanford University and currently Incorta's Evangelist. Mr. Raj is a customer-centric technology manager specializing in enterprise systems and business intelligence. He has worked primarily with Oracle technology and applications, ServiceNow, and Incorta. Raj had spent 7 years at Oracle in the Silicon Valley consulting practice implementation of Oracle technology and e-business suite for a variety of customers. After Oracle, Raj had spent 12 years at Stanford University in the university IT management team and was responsible for Oracle e-business suite, ServiceNow, Incorta, and other customer applications. After retiring from Stanford University in the early 2017, Raj has been an Incorta's evangelist and consultant. Raj has a bachelor degree in engineering from Vijay, Mumbai, and MBA from Santa Clara University. On a personal note, Mr. Raj is a grandfather. He has 3 children and 2 grandchildren. All kids are in the medical field. Raj has roots in India. After his retirement, he has taken time again and again and extensively toured around India before joining Incorta. Now he stays in California. So welcome, Mr. Raj.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
And of course, the special person to be introduced is Poonam Gupta Krishnan. Ms. Poonam has facilitated today's evening meeting, as I was mentioning in the beginning. She is the founder of the technology company ICA, which focus on data management analytics. In 20 years ICA has expanded its business in 3 continents, launched 8 products, a collective of over $500 million in contracts. With expertise in market entry and market expansion in digital technologies, Poonam has won many national and international awards for innovation, best practices, and the business leadership. Poonam has established a foundation. There is, apart from the company, she has established a foundation, Government Technology Foundation, known as, that collaborates public sector with the private sector, academia, and special interest groups to get innovation in the government sector. GTF provides technology trends, best practices, and consulting to CIOs, CPOs, operators, and policy makers in greater Chicagoland. Poonam has also founded Indian American Business Council, IABC, a non-profit focused on providing collaborative platforms to global businesses. IABC follows a cluster approach to economic growth by connecting startups with projects and investors. Poonam has a master's degree from Indiana State University and an MBA from Tech School of Business, Dartmouth. Her remarkable journey is covered as prominent case study in 2 best-selling books. Poonam Gupta Krishnan is a visionary leader in bringing her experience into her first book, Transformation Before Digital, bringing the missing pieces from overall sustainable corporate value creation. In fact, she has also recently given her messages on a request of our Prime Minister Narendra Modi about how businesses can be collaborating between the US and India. So she has been spearheading certain initiatives in terms of connecting Indians with people in US. It is great to note that Poonam is an ardent yoga practitioner and Vedic science researcher and has contributed several articles in popular publications. On a personal note, Poonam is originally from Kanpur, UP, and her husband is a Tamilian from Hyderabad. In fact, when I first interacted with her, I was a bit curious. So, contrary to the normal practice, I did ask her this personal person. She was nice to explain her background. She lives in Chicago with her 2 kids and husband. So, with this brief welcome and introduction, I once again extend cordial welcome to both the speakers, Osama and Raj and Poonam, for this evening program. And let's move further with the presentation by Mr. Osama first. Thank you. Or I would like Poonam to just make a formal presentation about the ICA and then give some overview about this today's presentation, some insights about the product and things like that. Then Mr. Osama will take it. Ms. Poonam, please.
Thank you, Mohanji, and I will not keep you away from listening to experts. So thank you for the opportunity to talk to you. And actually, I would like this to express my gratitude to all your leadership team of Mr. Mohan, Chairman of ACM Chennai, Dr. Priya Vijay, Chairperson of CSI Chennai, and Dr. P. Sakthivel, Chairperson of IEEE CS Madras, for giving us an opportunity to speak to you all and share an innovative technology that has radically transformed the way we have known to perform data analytics. And it's very humbling for me that I'm able to connect and just give me a second to explain that. So it's just a little bit about the company I represent, ICA. It's been serving global corporate and government clients since 2000 with the data management products, services, and support. Our main markets are North America, South Asia, and Europe. About a year and a half of partnership with Incorta has been very rewarding for my clients and for my company. So this Encoder is unified data analytics platform that has great benefits like speed, quality, and much lower cost. Its ability to empower the end users is the biggest plus for my customers. So yes, my excitement is more than anything that I want to bring it to the IEEE audience. So as Mohanji introduced the speakers, you will be hearing from the brain behind the technology, Mr. Osama Elkady, who is the co-founder of Encoder. And then you will be hearing from Mr. Raj Lalchandani, who is a satisfied Incorta user turned Encoder evangelist. So without further ado, here I welcome Mr. Elkady to talk about his great platform. Osama, sir, it's yours.
So I'm going to share my screen. And Osama, please tell me when we move forward. Okay.
Okay. Thanks a lot, everybody, for having us. It's a pleasure to meet everybody. And as Dr. Mohan mentioned, it's yes, I lived in India back in the early 90s. And I had a great time over there. So hopefully next time we'll have the meeting in person after COVID. That would be great. The introduction, thanks a lot for the introduction. Very detailed, really appreciated. We are here to talk about Incorta and not just the technology, but also the effect on business and how the largest businesses in the world looking at Incorta as a way to transform their business using new technology like what Tesla did for cars. I'm not sure about India, but in the Bay Area here, Tesla becoming more like a common car that everybody drives. It's like we used to have so many mobile phones company before iPhones, and now people just having iPhone, different versions, different colors, but it's either iPhone or Android. We are looking into disrupting this technology and this pain that companies been suffering from moving data from all these data sources, just putting in the hands of business and allowing business to utilize data, not just to live in the dark or with just assumptions. We'll go through the architecture, we'll go through the demo, and then Mr. Raj will take it from there with the some demos and the benefits that we have seen at Stanford University. Thank you. The company been founded in 2014. We were so lucky and to get some of the best investment venture capitals to invest with Incorta and believe in it. Google Venture, Microsoft, both of them are part of the company. They both invest big and huge amount of money with Incorta. And we are jointly helping Google companies on Google platform and Microsoft platform. We have big partnership initiatives with both of them. Along with that, we have Wipro, we have Sorenson, we have Kleiner Perkins, many other players as well. We recently hired Scott Jones from Alteryx, who been with Alteryx, who was able to take Alteryx from less than about 700 million in valuation to 9 billion in valuation. And the company was funded also with Dr. Hisham Silami, Matthew Holliday, Klaus Fabian, and myself. Go ahead, please. As I mentioned, we are so humbled to see that some of the largest companies in the world are using Incorta like their secret weapon that they are not talking about. For example, Facebook revamped their entire company financial systems to be 100% dependent on Incorta. The same with Stanford University, the same with Netflix, Comcast, Apple, Broadcom, Cisco, Western Digital, Keysight, you will see many names here that Incorta is their secret weapon to keep innovating and keep themselves ahead of the game. And they don't talk about it much because we know that it's some of their again their secrets in keeping ahead of everyone. Go ahead. So this is the way that business or anyone in this industry will tell you what it takes to get data from multiple data sources all the way to the business users. This problem we even faced at Oracle. I spent about 20 years at Oracle, and this is the way that we used to handle data for Oracle business users themselves. And even at Oracle, it was a big failure because we are spending so much hour and so much money and so much effort. At the end of the day, business is so frustrated that they are not able to get the data because the data has to go through so many hoops before they reach to the business. And the reason is you cannot just directly query the source system, because if you run the query directly, it will take maybe 12 hours to 18 hours to get the queries to run. That's why the ETL is more of a workaround to flatten the data, do some aggregation, do some data marts, work on some kind of flattening or simplification of the data model. So when business run these queries on the data warehouse, it will run. But that means you are taking away a lot of fidelity and a lot of content that the business wants to be able to access. And it takes very, very, very long time. Some of these projects takes 12 months minimum before, and anytime the business asking for a new question, it takes another 3 months to be able to deliver that. Next, please, Raj. What Incorta does is mainly just be the bridge between the data and the business and avoid all of these data flattening, simplifying the data, and allowing business to run with the data as is and with all the data. So Incorta for many businesses is the data hub or the analytics data lake that collects all data from all around the business and allow them to directly run queries without having to do all of this big hassle. The platform itself is so sophisticated, and we'll get to see that very soon. It has so many components, but it's fully integrated. And that is the reason it allows business to be up and running in few weeks, not in few months or few years even. That's the whole idea. And that's the reason we left Oracle, all of us, and we started a company focusing on solving this problem. Because the problem is not the lack of visualization tools or so many of these stuff. The problem here is the time it takes to get data in the hands of business. And by simplifying that process, it's a huge plus to business here. Go ahead, Raj. So I want us to start with architecture. I know that we have a group of technical people here. It's not a sales meeting. So we'll talk about the architecture. We'll talk about some of the details. Then we move to the business benefits and business use cases. So the idea behind Encoder is we looked at how databases been built from day one, and the concept behind how the data from all of these relational databases within one system or through multiple systems, how these data get to be joined and get to be connected with each other. The reason the query takes long time, the more joins or the more records you have, it takes a query from few seconds if you have just all the data in one table, into it takes to sometime to 48 hours. Because the more joins you have, the much larger process it takes. It's exponential time. So if you have 2-3 tables, it's different than if you have 10 tables. And each database and each data platform comes to a point that it breaks from there. So whether it's 10 joins, whether it's 20 joins, 10 joins with billions of records of data, this is the time that it says, no, you have to do star schema. You have to do snowflake schema. You have to flatten the data. You have to do some aggregation. So Encoder was designed from day one. How can we remove that friction? How can we remove that limitation? How can we allow any query with any data size, with any number of joins to be able to perform in a much faster way? And the way we do that is we do a lot of data enrichment while the data is ingested. So instead of spending hours and hours during process time with every single query, going through the optimization of the query planning and trying to optimize more and more about which 2 tables to start first, which 2 other tables to start joining, and what is the best path there, or query routing. We try to enrich as much as possible, a lot of information with the data upfront. So this way, and we call this data maps. And the data maps here are our innovation of representing the relationship between not just tables, between records and each other. Not just this table belongs to this table, this record belongs to this record. And that is the main innovation here. How are we able to represent all of this data, all of this information? How are we able to generate that very fast? How can we save that data in a very compressed format and allow even near real-time access to business? So they are able to refresh data within 2 minutes, like the case of Apple or Netflix and so on, and instead of waiting for sometimes weeks to be able to refresh the data. So that innovation, looking at revamping and rebuilding databases from scratch, similar to when you look at Tesla, how the engine in Tesla is very small engine, but it's much faster than any other race car, because the engine was completely revamped, was built from scratch. It was not going after the convention model of cars and how the cars has to run with gas and cylinders and oil and water and all of that stuff. When you look at rebuilding something with focus, specific focus, that is the main thing here. And definitely we have a lot of smart query routing as well, and a lot of query optimization that we benefit from that mapping that allows us also to do these queries in seconds, not in hours. So next, Raj. Here we took some data, real customer data, from one of the largest e-business with customers. We loaded that data to Incorta, we loaded to Snowflake and BigQuery, because now people looking at these technology, the most modern one. We tried the same data, by the way, with Oracle and Teradata, HANA, so many other platforms, but the performance was really bad. So we chose the best closer performance to Incorta, Snowflake and BigQuery, and we run the same complex queries across all of them. And you will see that we loaded the data as is. We didn't do any flattening. We didn't do any ETL. We didn't build a star schema. We just loaded the data to the 3 systems, and we took the same set of queries to run against these 3 systems here. With real queries and real customer data. Many people look at TBC as performance benchmark. I used to be at Oracle. Every company around the world, they optimize around TPCs a lot. So it is not real measure of performance. But when you take a real business case, real data, real customer data, and you see that's exactly how business will look at it at them. Go ahead, Raj. So this is just some of the queries we are using here. It's not a simple one. It's very like 12 tables with 11 joins. And this is where all these databases really breaks. When you have billions of records of data and you have this number of joins, this is where you have to do ETL. You have to do flattening. And this case is majority of business around the world, they are faced with this challenge every single day. Even when we went to Stanford first day, they told us we have queries that takes 14 hours every day to run before business can look at them. And we will see now how that is performance. Okay, Raj, please. So these are some of the numbers we looked at. You will see had these are just query names that shows the like business queries, number of tables, number of joins within these tables, and some of the largest tables within these queries, or the data that it needs to scan. Okay. These are all in seconds, and you can see that comparing Incorta versus Snowflake versus BigQuery. BigQuery pricing is different than Snowflake and Encoder, but this is very comparable how much Encoder costs per hour versus Snowflake. So these are Snowflake about 4 clusters. It's not the smallest machine, but it is the acceptable pricing machine. It's about $12 per hour. Encoder is about $13 per hour, and BigQuery is different pricing, but it's very, very close to the same pricing when it comes to that. So you will see that when the data is still in within the tens of joins, Encoder will perform in seconds, and you can compare that to Snowflake or BigQuery. That it will take, for example, the first one is 180 seconds with Snowflake and 13 seconds with BigQuery. Surprisingly, we have seen that BigQuery actually performance in these queries is much better than Snowflake. But still, if you see that if some of these queries reach to 1 billion record, especially 2 tables, 1 billion, not just one, still Encoder is about 14 seconds versus Snowflake 7,000 seconds and BigQuery 3,000 seconds. This is where business can say, I cannot just wait every time I click on Tableau or other tool. I have to wait 7,000 seconds for a query to come, or 3,000 seconds for a query to come. And the price is very prohibiting here. It takes really, really long time. And if you have thousands of users, a lot of activities, then this will become very prohibiting to use that technology. Encoder, on the other hand, keeps the performance in a very reasonable way. Again, if you see query 3, Encoder is less than a second. Here, again, BigQuery 15 seconds, Snowflake 840, and so on. Now, when we reach to, for example, query 8, you will see that Snowflake starts failing these queries. It cannot perform anymore. And if you look at query 10 and 11, and we have about like more and more of these queries, that they just fail. They cannot take it anymore. And we actually looked at how can we optimize, how can we make these queries run. The only way we kept reducing the number of records as much as possible, and then Snowflake and BigQuery start working. So the query itself was, we thought the query is bad or it's not threatened to be optimized for Snowflake or BigQuery. Actually, the queries are correct, and it runs, but only if you reduce the number of records to thousands of records, not hundreds of millions or billions of records. And even Encoder here will also take a long time. Like if you have 27 tables and you're joining with 26 joins. Also, Incorta will take like 500, 600 seconds. But compared to other systems that it completely fail. So the query with us will take 10 hours, 10 minutes. But still, business can accept 10 minutes for some of these complex, but they cannot accept that they are not able to run these queries at all. Okay, so that's the reason. Not just Oracle or HANA or Snowflake or Teradata will tell you you have to do ETL, you have to flatten the data. Snowflake and BigQuery is the same thing. And that process of flattening the data and simplifying the query is where business so frustrated that they have to wait for the data. It is not real time. And every time they have a new question, they have to build a new star schema and another star schema, another star schema to connect all of them together. Okay. Raj, please, next. This is just some presentation for the numbers we visual presentation for the numbers we just saw. Okay. Thank you. This is more about the architecture. As a platform, it's a very sophisticated platform. Because it's not just we're solving the idea about, yes, the queries are great, but how can I connect, get you all the data? Encoder built an open platform to be able to acquire all these data from different data sources. It pushes all these data to a shared disk or a data lake that we enrich or we utilize to be able to collect all these big data from so many systems. We integrate with Spark for the data enrichment, for AI, machine learning, but we are taking care of all the pipeline of the data. We get the data, we update Parquet, which is now Delta Lake, or Databricks talking about Delta Lake. And then from there, we do all we utilize the innovation of Encoder of the same data that we are sharing with Spark on Parquet, that Encoder loads the data to memory as needed, and then able to serve the business. And this is where we are able to give unlimited scalability to business with hundreds and thousands of nodes if they want to be able to run the platform. Next, please. This is more sophisticated, more detailed architecture about the components we have. So the loader, the data enrichment, and then the analytics. The loader is responsible not just to get the data, but also to detect all the relationship about this information, build connections and build that data map model, store all these metadata and in the metadata database, create all the Parquet files, update the Parquet files, automating this whole process with tens of thousands of tables and hundreds of thousands of operations every minute, actually. Then it is also responsible to communicate with Spark, allow or get Spark and Discover to be able to run for all the models that business built around AI and machine learning. And this is where we are allowing AI and machine learning plus data analytics on the same platform. We actually invested a lot in Spark. How can we make it really seamless that anyone can use it without having to think a lot about how to acquire the data and enrich the data and do that. And this is all in the same data process. So when business gets the data, they look at what is the budget, what is the fact, and what is the predictive modeling, and is they able to see all of that together. The Incorta engine is the one responsible for all the security, securing the data, and data access, and running all of these queries, and also providing also UI for business, and JDBC access, web service access, so you can use other tools like Tableau, Power BI, MicroStrategy, and we have a very also sophisticated Excel add-in that people are able to utilize as well. So very rich platform, so many components, all of them working together in a very sophisticated way to provide seamless and simplified model for business to see at the end. Okay, so hopefully that gives very good detail. And by the way, I'll be more than happy if anyone would like to follow up with me later to get to know more about the technology and get to see these numbers in action, and even get access to the platform and to all these systems to see the numbers that yourself. Okay. Somebody was saying, is that data was preloaded? Yes, the data was preloaded to Incorta and preloaded to Snowflake and preloaded to BigQuery as well. So we did all the loading for all the databases, and then we start the queries from there. Okay. This is just a presentation of what are the steps and how much time it takes to build a standard or the old way of doing data warehousing. This is how our customers used to do that before they moved to Incorta. And the reason they moved to Incorta is mainly to get, number one, more accurate numbers, by the way. With all these systems, the process of ETL not just takes away the fidelity of the data, but it goes through so many steps that at the end of the day, if you look at financial data, there's always mistakes and huge shift in numbers that caused big problems for some of the largest companies in the world, that they had to report again to the government about their taxes and so on. While with Incorta, it is much more accurate information because the data is directly accessed the same shape, and we're able to provide that not just in the faster time, but more real time and much more agility in building and changing the requirement. Next, please, Raj. We can skip this one. Go ahead to the some of the companies that we did last year and earlier this year, we collected some of the numbers that it takes to implement from the, and this is, I don't know why we put this, like the go live date and so on, but use cases and how long it took them to be able to be up and running and effective in production. This is like going through the collecting the requirement, registration, implementation, collecting requirement, building the model, doing UAT testing, getting business acceptance, and then going live in production. You can see we were able to do all of that in few weeks, going from 1 to 2 weeks to maximum like 7 weeks in the case of Lightspeed. But we were so excited to see some companies like Netflix going in 5 weeks or 6 weeks, going or 2 months going in production with Incorta. And that's why all these companies, they stay with us. They keep investing more. They keep removing more and more of systems around them and be able to utilize Incorta much more. And they start with operational reporting, operational analytics, and then it takes from more and more AI, machine learning, and other systems as well. Cisco is very heavy with AI, machine learning with us as well. Okay, go ahead. Yes. Some of the use cases, some of the business benefits, I will let you to read these, but we're so proud that we were able to help companies not just save tens of millions of dollars with us, but also they are able to stay competitive and keep competing. Actually, when Facebook went down last week, I asked my team to check with Facebook, was it Incorta that caused that the system to go down, but it was not us. So Incorta was up and running within Facebook even during this this problem. And if some people want to know what more about, we have been working with Facebook for now 4 years. Some of the very sophisticated and the smartest people, by the way, are running this, and it's a pleasure to work with Apple teams, Facebook teams, Starbucks Broadcom, Credit Suisse. Every day, those teams, they have more and more great ideas that really, really help us take the platform to the next step and the next step. But the amount of savings, especially food waste with some of these companies like Starbucks or some poultry company, it makes us really, really proud that we're able to save not just money, but also to save hundreds of millions of dollars of food to be utilized with cheaper price or donation, and instead of just food waste like that. Okay. Next. These are again some of the savings that customers do with us, because with other systems you have to invest in ETL tools, data warehouses, storage, data warehouses, technology, BI reporting tool, AI, machine learning. With Incorta, they are getting all of this together in one platform, and they are able to be much more nimble and much more innovation around one platform that integrates all of that together, instead of dealing with 4, 5, 6 different technology with 4, 5 different 6 teams that each one expert with that technology, and just business has to wait for all these guys to come together and be able to provide to them one platform to use. Okay, next please. I'm done with my slides. It's been a pleasure to meet all of you. Raj will take it from here. I hope I answered all the questions that you have, and thank you for having me with you guys today.
Give me one second to set up. In the meantime, thank you for inviting me, and it's a pleasure and honor to present to you. What I'm going to show you is a live demo of Incorta that Osama talked about, and I'm going to focus on 3 areas or 3 key pillars in the Incorta unified data analytics platform. I presume everybody can see my screen. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So, yeah. So I have full access to Incorta. That's why you see a lot of 6 menu items here. I'm going to focus on 3 of them today, the 3 pillars, and briefly talk about the others. I'm going to start off with what is the end result that all the platform that Osama talked about produces. Okay, so this is called a dashboard in Incorta. Okay, so that's in the content area, and the dashboards are built by users or analysts with using abstracted layer of the physical schema that is imported from the source system. Okay, so that's called the business schema. So the dashboards are linked to the business schema, and the schema is in a format that is business oriented rather than technical oriented. So it shields the user from all the technology behind in the engine. So that's the second area that I'm going to talk about. The third area is the schema, which allows the developer to replicate the data model that is in the source system into Incorta and bring the joins in, etc., so that you can build the business schema and then build the dashboards on top of it. Okay, so I'm going to start with the content of the dashboard, go to business schema, and then go to schema. Briefly, this one allows you to schedule jobs, load data, create alerts, etc. Data is the setting up the credentials to connect to the source systems with user ID, passwords, and so forth. And security is an integral part of Incorta. It's built in, so you can define roles for users, you can define what they have access to, and how you limit showing them or preventing them from seeing some data. Plus, we have capabilities to encrypt data within Incorta also. Okay. So let's start with the dashboard. So this is one dashboard, and the dashboard consists of multiple insights. So this is an insight here. This is a KPI insight called orders completion performance. The next one is a top warehouse performance insight, which is a pie chart. This is a top 10, and this is the tree map, and so forth. We typically, from a best practice, recommend that you have 8 to 10 insights on a dashboard. And as you can see, there's a variety over here. And the last one that we prefer you to do is to have a detailed insight, which shows all the detailed transactions, so you can reconcile the summary insights with the detailed transactions. So as you can see, we are working with about 600,000 records over here in this live demo. Okay, so let's see what you can do with it. So the idea here is, once the dashboard is built, the user can slice and dice and explore and analyze their data. So I'm going to click on Boston Manufacturing, which is one of the warehouse here. And basically what happens is then all the insights get synced up. So we applied a filter, as you can see, on Boston Manufacturing, and all these insights changed automatically to reflect data pertaining to Boston Manufacturing. And it went down from 600,000 records to 362,000 records. Okay, so that's there's multiple ways of slicing and dicing and exploring. I'm going to just show you a few. Then if I want to look at details for a specific customer, I can click on this customer, and then we have a capability where I can drill down from one dashboard to another dashboard. So we can link the dashboards in a hierarchy fashion. So now I'm looking for aging details, AR aging details for this customer only. And as you can see, this is another dashboard that is built and with Incorta, and they are tied together. And we brought in a variety of parameters that were automatically passed, including the customer name, imaging, innovations. Okay, and I can traverse back over here and look at go back to the original one. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is to look at detailed transaction. So as Osama mentioned, we have a capability to, so you trust the data. What I can do is, with single sign-on, I can click on a transaction and go to the associated source system to look at the transactions in details. In this case, I'm going to our sponsors here, CSI Chennai chapter, who sponsored the link, sponsored this webinar. So, but it could be any system that the source transaction is related to. Okay, so I'm going to come back to the dashboard, and I'm going to show you how easy it is to build it. So if I click on this one, actually I want to do one more thing here. I can share this dashboard give other users access to it. I can send it by email to somebody else, or I can schedule a delivery of this dashboard to an executive so that they have this available every 6 o'clock every morning before they come to work. Also, I can bookmark it. So if I have 5 managers who are responsible for, one manager responsible for each warehouse, I can say bookmark, add a bookmark here, and let's say called Boston Warehouse. And so this can become the default dashboard for the person who manages the Boston warehouse, And so one dashboard can be used in multiple ways across the organization, rather than building dashboards for every single instance, Okay, so these are some of the capabilities on our dashboard. And now let's go and look at how easy it is to build it. So I'm going to go into edit mode. Okay, and so I'm seeing this dashboard. okay, displayed. This is the columns from the business view that I can use to build this dashboard, and these are the columns that are being used currently. Okay, so I'm going to click on one of these columns, and I'll click on this one actually. As you can see, I put a URL here, which is the CSI Chennai URL, so it clicked there. And underneath the covers, I can look at what is the actual query being performed here. As you can see, we don't do ETL. We bring the raw data as is and maintain it, as Osama said. And in this query, we are doing 14 different tables. So if I drill down and look at one, so this is OE order lines, which is one of the tables. As you can see, the joins are very complex here. Okay, it's executing in real time. Okay, so what I can do also is, this is a listing table. I have a capability to choose up to 30 different visualizations that are available. And starting with the next release of Incorta, we have an SDK where you can build your own visualizations and integrate that with Incorta. And we keep on expanding our visualizations, but you can do it on top of this. Okay. So I'm going to show you, I'll click on lines, a line actually. Okay. And so this is looking at the order line table, and I can drag and drop one more column here and bring it for display. Okay, I gotta do okay. So now I have brought in one more line ID column here, and now you can see the line ID shows up on this report. So this is how easy it is to build these insights and show it to the user. Okay. So the next we are going to go is to look at the business views. And in terms of the business view, we have a number of business views that are being built to support this application. And I'm going to go to the line table. Look at the line. Okay. That's the one that I'm looking at. I got to go OE. Order management, sales orders. Okay, so we got to go to this sales order list as business view, and here we can look at see the customer information, line pricing details. Okay. All right. So this is the business view, which allows the user to build dashboards. And as you can see, you can give it a name that is user-friendly, as well as it's linked to the schema. So we got to look at this order lines, which is part of the schema that's in the source system. Okay, so that's the, let's go out to the schema. And this is the schema that is used for the order management area. And I can look at the total pie of what all the tables are. As you can see, it's very complex. It's, 50 to 70 tables over here. And I can search for line, okay, order lines here. So as you can see, it's very complex relationships that are maintained in Incorta and still gives great performance. And I can drill down and look at all the details on this order table, all the columns that are displayed. I can build some custom columns here if I want to through formula, and it shows all the joins underneath the covers. Okay. So that's the view of the a demo of the Incorta system. Okay. Now let me switch over and talk about Stanford. All right, so I'm going to switch over and go to the slides. Okay, I can find these slides. Close the slides. think I lost my slide. This is here. Oh, slides are here. Okay. All right. So let's go presentation mode. So with regards to Stanford, Stanford is a city by itself in Silicon Valley with a postal code, a fire department, bus system, and even an energy plant in it. During the daytime, there are about 30,000 people on campus, from students to faculty to staff. And most of the students live on campus along with a majority of faculty. Stanford has revenues about $6 billion a year, and it generates this revenue from student fees, student housing, gifts. It does research, and it has an endowment of $30 billion from which a payout is made every year to support the operating budget. Stanford has a state-of-the-art IT infrastructure and a very complex ERP systems that manage the operations of Stanford. And it is managed by a strong technical team of IT professionals, about 500 of them. And I was one of them for about 12 and a half years as the introduction. Osama came to us in 2015 and introduced us to Incorta. We were very skeptical about his claims. Said, hey, we have an old way of doing it. How can you solve this problem with Incorta? So what we did was we put it to a rigorous test at Stanford. So we decided to do two projects in parallel. One was a gift application that I had built that supports the $1 billion in gifts that Stanford gets a year, and it had 30 tables. Second was Oracle ERP out-of-the-box system, which had 150 tables in it. We were successful in solving our analytics problems with both of these initiatives. With the gift system, we were able to do that in 2 weeks of effort. With the ERP system, with 150 tables, we were able to do that in 8 weeks of effort. So Osama, you were right. And we were no longer skeptical. And we believed in Incorta. And thank you so much, Osama, for bringing us Incorta at Stanford. The journey with Incorta continued over the next few years. We basically implemented a new major system every year, HR analytics application, financial systems, and a help desk system built on ServiceNow. The next big challenge that Incorta faced, the next big challenge that we had was, like everybody else in the world, come March of 2020, okay? Pandemic changed the world. And like all organizations, Stanford had to pivot to support their operations and their core competency of teaching, learning, and research. We couldn't stop it because students were living on campus and research was going on. So the executive management team at Stanford decided to build a COVID application. And Incorta was the silver bullet to help them do it. Okay, so they built a data lake with key 8 different sources: students for student data, HR for faculty and staff data, authority to make sure the right people have access to the system, building badge access to figure out who's in what building at what time, Wi-Fi to track of where people are on the campus, help desk to keep track of what COVID-related tickets are coming up during this crisis period. all the essential employees were required to have a daily health check before they could come onto campus. So we brought in data for that. And the public COVID metrics were to compare how Stanford is doing compared to other organizations or in the Bay Area or California. So they were able to build the system in a couple of months. And the senior director of who was responsible for e-business suite, Incorta, and and ServiceNow, told me that summer of 2020 that Stanford was able to build this in a few weeks, while other institutions that they collaborate with across the country were struggling with coming up with solutions to help them build operate their business successfully. There are two versions of the system that are available within Stanford. The first one is secured and is accessible to the management team and is built with Encoder visualization. There's a public one which you can Google and find out. It's called if you Google Stanford COVID dashboard, you'll get to this dashboard that is shown on the right-hand side of the screen. And it is built with the same data lake, but with a Tableau visualization. Okay. Stanford has had Incorta for 6 years, and it has received many benefits during that time. The first benefit is implementation speed. As Osama talked about, it takes weeks to implement instead of months and years. And because the data model is identical between the source system and the target in Incorta, the staff, IT staff that maintains the source system builds Incorta applications or dashboards. As Incorta is one system end-to-end with extraction, schemas, a data repository, and visualization, fewer resources are required to build Incorta dashboards compared to if you use multiple systems with multiple technologies that are integrated like ETL, repository, visualization. You need more resources to do that. So that's where another set of savings comes into Stanford. As a result of a faster speed and fewer resources, there's significant cost savings to Stanford. Outstanding performance. This is the secret recipe for Incorta, as Osama talked about. Even if you have billions of records with multiple joins, the performance is fantastic. And I've heard many quotes from my ex-colleagues, my staff, that Incorta shines at Stanford. We have had an excellent partnership between Stanford and Incorta. And we started with the version 1 of Incorta. Now there's version 5X of Incorta. And we have helped shape the Incorta platform, our building blocks like business views, bookmarks, and data models shown on the screen were some of the ideas that came out of Stanford. Thank you much for giving me the opportunity to speak to you. And I'll hand it on to Poonam.
Thank you, Raji, and thank you, Osamaji, and thank you for all the participants. You have heard from the happy customer, and you have heard from the Osamaji, who is the brain behind building such a beautiful platform. And you are hearing from a company, a partner, who is happy to take Encoder to its customers. So we are really excited with the quality and even the upgrades that are coming up of Encoder are very, very useful in many, many industries. So going forward, I would first of all request you, if you have any questions, please type it out and we will get it answered with the right person. That's number one. And at the close of this event, I think organizers will share this recording, and there is a link for towards the end of the presentation. There is a link that you can have access to, whether it's a free trial of Encoder or proof of concept, a lot of free resources from upcoming events. The trainings you want to take a training and be supporting to Incorta partners in India and elsewhere. We have a whole lot of partners that are working to bring the Encoder to the market more and more. So yes, all of those information, all of those links and connections are given in the link that is provided. So you can do that. And let's see what else I have. So now coming to the question and answers, let me see if you have any. We have received some questions during the registration. So we'll first look at what we have sent in the text, the chat, and then we go with what was submitted.
Okay.
All right. One question Mohanji asked, is there any presence in Encoder in India? I think Osama ji did mention that quite a few companies, the organizations, and I think Osama ji can pitch in exact names, or we can send you the link later on. But yes, very much so. Osama, you want to add into that?
Thank you, madam. I thank Mr. Osama Elkady, Mr. Raj Lalchandani, and Ms. Poonam Gupta for their wonderful webinar on transformation in data analytics. We have received some of the questions from registered participants, and I will read out the questions, and I request the speaker to provide the answers. One common question from a student: how and where to get internship in data analyst nowadays? How and where to get internship in data analyst nowadays?
Do you want to take it, Raj, or shall I?
Why don't you go ahead, Poonam?
Okay. Well, just in general, internship, you can get it with anybody providing the offerings, but from the side of the Encoder, if you get yourself training and certificate, you have opportunity to work with any of the Encoder partners in your country. Anybody wants to add into that, please welcome.
Okay, madam. We will move to the next question. What are the growth opportunity for analytics expertise?
It's a $70 billion industry and growing. So the opportunity is plenty. I mean, just a matter of which industry or sector you are interested in, whether it's a healthcare or food or retail or logistics or education. So it's a very, very growing industry, and almost everything is now being automated, and you need the data to be on your side. So yes, the opportunities for the analytics is growing, and I see no end to it. So yes.
Okay, ma'am. Next question. What is the use of data analytics in day-to-day life?
I'm answering all the questions. If anybody else wants to join in, I'd be happy to.
Go ahead, Poonam.
Okay. Well, you see any and all IoT devices, right? Healthcare, emergency services, any decision making, social media, on-the-go decision making, from the battlefield to your social media to your acute information at the like in the for example, like how Raji shared Incorta's Stanford rolling out the COVID, you know, migrations, like how quickly it's going, and so that it does not spread. And that is what the beauty is in today's world of data analytics in everyday life, from your smart tools and Fitbits to watches to smart phones, everything uses the data.
Thank you, ma'am. The next question. What is the best tool used in industry for analyzing the data? And which one is
Encoder.
available in the market?
Encoder.
Thank you.
So,
Any other tools?
So, Poonam, let me.
Yes. Go ahead, please.
So, regarding the IoT data, one of the customers that Incorta have is the Enphase, and these guys, they have they allow companies to install utilizing the I forget the name, but the plates to be able to utilize some power to be able to help companies don't depend on electricity all the time or growth, but each of these plates, they generate data all the time, and we are able to collect all this data with Incorta, and we are able to predict, for example, if any of these plates will be failure, or even inform the customer themselves about some of the deficiency in one of these plates and how they can help them fix these problems. So there is unlimited use cases about IoT data, whether it's manufacturing, whether it's factories, whether it's detecting machines. It's all about detecting the behavior of any of these machines and avoiding problems, predicting maintenance requirement, pushing feedback to engineering to be able to fix these problems in future versions and so on. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Answering the question about the tools, all the tools in the industry are all important and they serve different use cases. It all depends on the business use case and what they are looking for. Encoder, for example, can be really good for many use cases, but other technologies can be good for other use cases, and so on. But more and more you will see in the future that less and less tools will be available because like anything else, there are so many innovation around this area, but few technologies will continue to succeed in the future. Because again, as Poonam mentioned, this industry is hundreds of billions of dollar industry, and it's just growing like crazy.
Thank you, sir. The next question is, what about security issues to be handled while data transferring?
Osama, do you want to touch on that, please?
Security while data transferring, every time the data is transferred with Encoder is fully secured. By the way, one of the reasons we are used in Facebook and in Apple, because the security we have within Encoder is, for example, we do have encryption keys, we have rotation encryption keys, and even while the data is transferred or processed, all secured. Not just that, we also have real-time access to security. So if anyone coming to the system, we check with the source systems, we get the credentials, we apply these data security in real time. So that's why, for example, all HR data at Apple is only in Encoder because of the security we have there. So we can have a whole new session, and you can contact me later about all the level of securities in each step there. Facebook, for example, hired a hacking company to spend 1 week to try to hack Incorta within Facebook, and they couldn't. We even have companies look at our source code and do all kinds of scanning to make sure that there is no single hole. Data security is a big concern for companies with any data platform because of the data breach. And we're very, very proud to be able to pass all of these security checks with these big companies.
Thank you. The next question is, would you please give some examples of automata in data analytics?
Automating data what?
Automata in data analytics. Examples.
Automation in data analytics? I think we did cover that, right? Like all the IoT devices and so on. That's what.
And for example, the question we talked about at Starbucks, where they are able to detect every day at 1 p.m. how many any store, any of the 28,000 stores around the world, how much food they have, is the food consumption is the acceptable rate or not, and how they are able to push web service. So data analytics is not just with dashboards. It's a lot of web service APIs. We have so many systems can depend on Encoder to be able to check things, to detect, to send notifications. But they can also tell if any store has more food than expected, then they can send promotions around that to be able to drag people there. We have companies, for example, they have a lot of food storage, and they detect the expiration date of each box within these warehouses, and depending on the expiration date, they send notifications to change the pricing of the item to be able to keep moving the items much faster from these storage warehouses to avoid food waste and sending and pushing food to waste later on.
Okay, sir. The next question is, what are the future scopes in data analytics? Can we do entrepreneurship in data analytics?
Can we do enterprise?
Entrepreneurship in data analytics.
Poonam, what was that?
Entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
I think that's
The entrepreneurship. Can somebody, use be an entrepreneur in data analytics is the question, if I'm understanding it correctly.
So Poonam, can you explain more? What is this? What do you mean?
Okay, so what I understand is if you're looking for entrepreneurship in the data science of the world, there are many paths to the going forward. One of them that I shared that you partner up with a company that already has a product like Incorta and build your own market onto that, or build additional products. So basically, what I am understanding, and please somebody clarify if I'm not correct, is that hey, I want to go into the entrepreneurship, but in the data field, is it a good option, or is it a good choice, and how to? That's the question there is, Osama.
Okay. So we have many marketplaces that will open soon in our cloud, and definitely people can participate and can do innovation there. I want to answer some of the questions on the chat here about the free license. Yeah, if anyone go to cloud.encorta.com and they sign up for that. If they are students, they can just send a note to Poonam or to myself, and we will keep that account forever. We don't stop any of these accounts, so you literally have unlimited free version that you will continue to use. This is for all students.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. The next question. Any version of Incorta is available like Tableau desktop?
We don't have a desktop version, but the cloud version is much better, because the reason it's important, because the amount of data that nowadays people want to analyze, even students, is huge. So no desktop will be able to process that data from a data size and from machine. You can actually be using Encoder on the cloud, and you can be processing data that requires tens of thousands of servers to start, to finish the job in a few seconds and stop again. That is the amazing thing about the cloud scalability. And you are able to do that with the Encoder Cloud without having to install and use something on your desktop.
Any offerings from Incorta similar to Tableau Public, which is a free platform to publicly share and explore data visualizations online?
Yes. So that's what I'm saying. The cloud.encorta.com is the one that we would encourage everyone to go today to register there.
So many of the
There is
journalists
available.
data
Yes,
journalism and
available.
indirectly
Go ahead
popularizing
and try.
people.
Try it out on yourself. Keep your account. Try to use it with your students. Encourage your students also to go there, get certified. As I mentioned, we have so many companies around the world. They would utilize people online and remote to be able to do that. There's always shortage, by the way, in data engineering, data analytics, data scientists, AI and machine learning. There's always huge shortage there, and I would really, really encourage students always to take Python classes with any subject they are studying.
How does Incorta compare with other products in terms of product cost and investments?
Cost will definitely depend a lot on the usage and so on, but at least for students and for university internal education use, it's absolutely free. So it can be utilized really there. Small customers, they have special pricing. Enterprise customers, they have special pricing. But the cost is not just the software, the implementation cost. That's why I'm saying that we helped companies reduce the cost by tens of millions of dollars by allowing them to be able to do things in days instead of taking months and months to be able to do that. So the total cost of ownership is like less than 10% of other solutions.
Thank you, sir. The next question is there any way the college students can get free online certification trainings in this
Yes.
Incorta?
Yes, the online training is free, the platform is free, and the online training is free. Anyone can go to learn.encoder.com and they can also get that.
Okay, next question is also similar to that. Is there any free student scholar license platform to gain knowledge of Incorta?
Yes, as you mentioned, cloud.encoder.com. You sign up there and the platform will always be with you without any, it will never stop. Okay.
And the last question is, can Incorta be able to create data joins by itself in machine learning process?
We are looking into that. The problem with machine learning, a lot of people depend on Encoder for the very, very, very fine numbers and accurate calculations. That's why using machine learning for these joins and detecting would not result into 100% accuracy. It can be used for other activities and other processes, but not for financial data calculations.
Thank you. And one more question. Any inputs on the availability of Incorta skilled people?
There are so many partners around the world who have Encoder certified engineers. Wipro, we have team in Bangalore to educate the Wipro instructors to support. So we have Infosys, Wipro, we have companies like Poonam. We have thousands of certified developers around the world. So any of our partners, you can reach out to them. And this, I would really encourage you to connect with Poonam here. And they have amazing resources, very, very skilled people to be able to help you.
So thank you very much, madam and sir, for your interactive webinar and answers to all the questions. Now I request Dr. Priya Vijay, Chairman of Computer Society of India, Chennai chapter, to formally propose the vote of thanks. Priya Vijay, madam.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, sir. I thank everyone who attended the webinar. I thank our moderator Poonam Gupta today and our speakers Osama and Raj Lalchandani for their excellent presentation and informative presentation, even at early morning in their timing. I thank our associate partners, Mr. H.R. Mohan, Chair ACM, and Dr. P. Sakthivel, Chair IEEE CS, for their long run association with us for these presentations. I thank our event management team, Ms. P.V. Subramaniam, past chair, and Dr. Agila, MC member, for their excellent coordination and organization for the webinar. I thank all the past and present MC members, past and present OB members of all our professional societies, CSI, ACM, and IEEE who joined and helped us throughout the program. And also I thank all the participants who enthusiastically registered and joined the webinar. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, madam.
So thank you very much for the presentation and the demo. But I think we had conducted earlier some programs relating to analytics tools, like Tableau, ClickView, and so on. But Incorta is the first time we are coming across, but it is the feature-wise quite different, and then architecture is also different. But somehow people generally they feel they want, so the people who are using the base product like Oracle or SAP, they would like to use the product native to their own development. See, like going with the additional product, the interface problems and also the skill availability, that seems to be a bit of a tricky issue to manage. In fact, many CIOs with whom I interact, they express this problem. That's the reason I asked about the skill availability in Incorta. So that question, that's a basic thing. And other one is, are you having any SaaS model available for Incorta? No. To use the product on the cloud on a rental basis, or it is an outright product purchase?
Yes, there is cloud.encoder.com. You can go ahead, try it out, and you can start using it as a consumption model.
Okay.
Mohanji, you may want to, touch base with either Poonam or Osama with regard to more detailed information of how, Incorta works with SAP or Oracle, or,
Yes.
the pricing, etc. As you talk to the various leaders in India,
Yeah, basically we have a CIO forum wherein we do discuss about these issues like implementation and the skill availability. See, for them the CIOs are under different pressure. The business pressure is high, and then the financial side, any investment they want to make, and they find it difficult to get approvals from the finance, and the business needs are quite different. And so the CIOs, I really pity the CIOs, who are currently answerable for both the ends, and they look for some solution wherein they will be able to discharge their duties in a most cost-effective way, as well as there is no disturbance. The issues, disruptions are becoming problem in terms of manpower availability. Now, high cost of manpower makes it difficult. So they would like to compromise on the features when compared to availability of skill set. So this is a general practice, and it is universally being adopted. That is the reality we need to know. This.
I totally agree with you. The good thing about Encoder is customers can try that for 2-3 days. They can tell, like even SAP customers or Oracle customers. The reason Facebook and these guys, even in the case of Stanford, 1 week, and the customer can see whether this works for them or not. And Poonam and her team have excellent skilled people who can tell right away, wow, we are able to connect to SAP systems or Oracle e-business suite or Oracle ERP systems, NetSuite, Salesforce. Encoder already has pre-built applications that's already predefined all the information and every detail about that business logic there. So they can connect and see that within 2 days. So, and we have seen that success with all these customers just because of the savings, not just the platform, but all these pre-built content that enriched from all these customers to bring that together. So a new customer will benefit from all these customers that used the system before.
I think the best.
You have
Yeah,
any office in India? You have an office?
We have an office in Bangalore, yes.
Okay. Okay.
But again, Poonam will be able to help you anytime.
Okay.
And Poonam, you have an office in India, I assume, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Mhm.
So
We can connect with everybody you need to. And I want to add to what Osama ji mentioned about the ability for the CIOs to check it very quickly. But at the same time, the CIOs, I know I deal with a lot of them, is getting the budget approved. So the cost being 1/10 almost, and the ability to check it before your next meeting is there. So that helps a lot.
Yeah, possibly I think we can have an exclusive presentation in terms of cost benefit analysis, skill set, addressing all the concerns of CIOs, So the CIO forum.
I'll be happy to.
Yeah, with which we are also connected. So maybe we can have a focused meeting other than the general one, and then the implementation issues, how to go about it. Maybe we need to take into account some existing platforms, like people are using the Oracle ERP, and then SAP. They are most popular, and of course Microsoft Dynamics also has become fairly accepted in the Indian continent. So basically, we need to address some major 3 or 4 platforms on which how Incorta can work together. And the Salesforce is very very aggressive in terms of promoting their Tableau. And then but in India the Tableau implementations are large. If you look at it, Salesforce, after it has taken over the Tableau, they have been integrating it with all the CRM products and things like that. They have done some additional add-ons in the Tableau and so on. And these journalists, they have been very much using the Tableau public. And invariably, whenever a journalist uses it for his story, he makes a mention of Tableau. See, this is one way that Tableau got enormous publicity. So that's the reason I was asking that question, whether the public version is available for people to use it. It's a more like a small incentive for people to use it. Indirectly the word of mouth spreads like anything. So that is
Absolutely. So we can definitely do a focused CIO forum with the defined issues.
And also my request is, you can also look at an option of conducting an exclusive session for journalists on data journalism.
Okay, I personally am not that much aware, so we'll do some digging. We'll work with you, and we definitely can do it.
The data journalism, what I meant is not about journalism, but how they can use the data. It is like dashboard, how to create dashboard, and then they extract information. Say they get a lot of data, and they can't publish the data in its native form, so they need to project it in terms of visualized data. So wherein Encoder has got good features, but if they can see when they are using Tableau, they should also be able to use the Encoder. So that's what I was mentioning.
We can help you. Poonam and I can help you with that piece, so we can work.
We can do that. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, we can look at these options. We can work out some time.
Absolutely.
Based on that, we can see the priorities, and then we can do that.
Yeah.
See, that way, you get indirect free publicity if you do it for the journalists.
Sure. Absolutely.
Well,
absolutely.
as Osama said, you can get a free license of Incorta and use it, and start using that for your journal activities.
Correct. That's what. Okay,
once they start using Incorta, we won't have to promote to them. They will be talking.
Yes.
So that's the confidence that we bring to the table. Yes. So anything else we can answer? I'm trying to see
think,
here. So no.
we should really thank both Raj and Osama for waking up early in the morning, particularly, so we do understand. In fact, we did talk about shifting the starting time from 6 to 7, so that at least, you'll have 1 hour advance. But anyhow, it was decided that we'll continue with our conventional time of 6 to 7:30 and things like that. Anyhow,
Yeah, I thought that if we change the conventional time, then people will forget.
We'll
So
get
I didn't want to, the confusion had to be avoided. That's why I said, okay, stay with your convention time.
Yeah, that's thank you.
So
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for inviting
Thank
us.
you, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Definitely, we'll be in touch with you. Thank you.
Sure. Absolutely. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
So
Thank you.
Good day to you all.
Thank you.
Thank-
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.